Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Ankush here from Alip Consulting. Welcome back in our partner enablement video series. In today's video, we will be going to talk about how to build a designer solution with multi-region load balancing with Traffic Manager and Application Gateway. Here is agenda of our today's video. We're going to understand what is the multi-region is, what is the multi-region deployment are, what is the use case importance and how you can approach with multi-region deployment, and then I will be going to walk you through with one of the reference architecture, what are the business use cases, what are the key components, security considerations, pricing, and then I will be going to show you in the demo how a multi-region application can help you to achieve your business requirements. Let's quickly jump to the introduction. So multi-region application is deployed across the multiple cloud availability zone or in the region. This deployment pattern is designed to meet the expectation of a distributed audience while also meeting the high availability of the requirement. So eventually what happened, right? So let's take an example where you are running a business critical applications, right? And that application need to be always available. So what you can do, either you can use availability zone or the Microsoft Azure regions to distribute that or spread that application across the multiple region, which give you the high availability, right? So ultimately, if anything goes wrong with the one region, your secondary region would be going to be available. It's not exactly kind of DR. It's always going to be available, and your both the regions is going to be up and working at the same time, right? Typically, organization turn to the multi-region database to solve the problems such as minimizing the transactional latency by placing the data physically close to the end user, eliminating outage while with redundancies that can survive entire region or the cloud failure, adding with the data privacy compliance by storing the data within local boundaries, delivering multi-hybrid cloud deployment to eliminate the risk and cost of all in single cloud approach. Right. So these are the some of the benefit which you can basically going to get when you have a multi-region application deployment, right? In our scenarios, we will be going to talk about Azure, but in real life, when you talk with the customer or when you have a discussion with customer, your customer might be running their application already with their on-premise and they want to have a one more region deployed in Azure so that if anything goes wrong with the primary region or the on-premise data center, they can still serve the application continuously from the cloud. So that's where a multi-region deployment can also help to a customer to add the redundancy of their on-premise data center by adding the cloud region. Well, this is how your multi-region deployments look like. It's a traditional way. So you can see you have the switch, and then you have a VLANs, and then you have your applications server, and then you have your database servers in the secondary layer, and they are basically getting resynced to the each other. All the data basically which is there in a one region getting synced to the another region, and another region getting synced to the primary region. So it's kind of rsync, and the same way the database is getting to the sync other in the same way. What are the use cases, right? So regional data center outage, disaster recovery, increase availability, reduce latency for regional access, help to partition traffic among the regions, align with the regional regulatory enforcement like a GDPR, avoid cloud vendor locking in, right? With the multi-cloud deployment, you can spread your deployment between the multiple regions, right? Your one region can be run on AWS, another region can be run on Azure, and another region can be run on a GCP as well. And that's one of the biggest advantage of having the multi-region site. Same way, if customer is already running their application on one of their cloud provider, which is might be on AWS or GCP, you can come in and pitch in customer like, let's have another region deployed which will be going to solve your problems like a disaster recovery and regional data center outage as well. Well, what are the importance? Yep, there is a multiple importance of having the multi-region deployment, and it always recommended by a lot of vendors also to have a multi-region deployment, right? Let's take an example. you are running your application on AWS, right? And that reason is in UK, but your complete AWS UK region is down due to some human error, or something is goes wrong unexpectedly in that specific region, right? With the multi-region or spreading your deployment across the multiple clouds, what going to be happen if your one region is not available, or if your one data center or one specific country locations are down, you have another cloud vendors to provide and serve for your application. So here are some of the importance to reduce the interruptions and downtimes. At the time, emergency will bring down even the most robust and reliable software system. Highly available system minimize the impact of these events and can often recover automatically from the component or even the server failure. So these are some of the importance of having the multi-region deployments. How to do approach? You do have a multiple approach. You have a active active, you have a active passive, and then you have a active active. The first one, which is active passive with hot standby, in this approach what is going to be happen, your secondary and primary region both is going to be available, and your data will be your request will be served as soon as your primary is down, or your data will be, or your, sorry, not your data, actually your request will be served based on the user's locations as well. Second one is active passive with hot cold standby. In this case, your database is basically getting or VM will be getting replicated to the DR region, and your DR will be only going to become up whenever the primary region is down, right? With the cold standby, your cost is going to be less, but it generally going to take a lot more time to become online. Third one, which is one of the expensive one, uh, it's the kind of both regions are active and requests are load balanced between them. If one region is become unavailable, it will take out of the rotations. So these are the three multi-region deployment approach which you can use. Again, it's depend how customer want to do, right? If customer is okay to have with the cost and don't have any cost obligations, definitely go with the active. But if customer have some kind of cost obligation, or they have a budget, they don't have that much of budget where they can run or they can invest a lot of monies, you do have options like active passive with cold standby or active passive with hot standby, which you can use. Now let's quickly jump to the reference architecture. So in this reference architecture, what you will be going to see, you have a traffic manager in the front, which is basically resolving all your request which is coming inside the application, and then you have a primary reason and you have another reason, in which in front you have an application gateway, and then you have a layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 for your application distributed across the three zones, right? Same way, and then you have a VNet pairing in between both the regions, so that database data and information can be synced to the each other, right? In a web tier, it have a top layer which is basically primarily used by users to access the application, and then you have a business layer to process all the interaction and determine the next step if it's connected with the web or data tier. And then there's a data tier which is eventually typically used to store the application and the data and the application databases and information into the uh, databases. Well, this is how your architecture flow look. So so Microsoft Traffic Manager, which is there in the design, will be going to uh, spread the or I can say is distribute the traffic across to the regions. And then you have a application gateway which is going to provide you the layer 7 security with WAF, and then it's also going to give you the TLS termination, path based routing, and cookie based session infinity. And then you have a web tier, business tier, and data tier in same way to provide you the access or interface, and then process the user interactions and the informations. And then the data tier is basically to store the application information in the backend. What are the use cases? Yes, there are a typical use cases for these kind of reference architecture. You can use this reference architecture to design the business continuity and disaster recovery plan for a line of business applications, deploy the mission critical application running on Windows and Linux, improve the user experience by keeping the application available, right? So these are the some of the use case. Now again, I told you with this one, uh, you do have a recovery vault which you can use to replicate your VMs to the DR region or the secondary region as well, which is kind of a cold DR, or I can say a cold region failure. But again, if customer is keen to have the applications or keen to have a active deployment approach, you can do that as well. But in that case, a customer may need to pay extra because their both environment is going to be up and running. But let's take an example where customer have their user bases in multiple regions, right? There's some of the users who is in the US, and there are some of the users who is in UK. In that way, you can also have your application deployed or distributed in these two regions. In this way, user experience is also going to be improved, because the UK user will be directly reaching to the servers in UK, and the users in US will be directly reaching to the servers which is in the US by using the traffic manager. And that's the traffic manager's default behavior, and you can use that rest of the other performance methods as well for the traffic manager. Now, key components, again, there is a bunch of key components like application gateway, traffic manager, VM scale set, Azure virtual machines. The VM scale set is not a part of this design, this reference architecture. But again, if your application is capable to run on a VM scale set, you can do that. You can use the VM scale set as well. It's provide you the automated and load balancing VM scaling solutions, right? But again, it's not simply and blindly you go ahead and use the VM scale set. You first need to test your application, that your application is well enough to handle the VM scale set options, right? And then you have a load balancer, and you do have a Azure DDoS protection as well. Now, if you really want to have a deep dive with traffic manager, application gateway, Azure load balancer, or DDoS protection, there is a link in the description. Please go ahead and check out those links for a deep dive. Now let's talk about the recommendations. So there is a few recommendations with this reference architecture. Use at least two regions for high availability. That's something we always need to think about it when we are deploying the multi-region deployments. You can deploy your application across the multiple Azure regions in active passive and active configuration, right? For production workload, run at least two gateway instances. Note, in the architecture, the public endpoint of application gateway are configured as a traffic manager backend. So this is the one of the important thing. That's something I will be also going to show you in lab. So how the traffic manager is going to be work, right? Traffic manager is going to be have a front end and back end, and the back end is something need to be there. So in our cases, the application gateway is going to be the back end for the traffic manager. That's how the traffic manager will be going to forward the request to the secondary region. Use the NSGs to restrict the traffics, right? So anything need to be restricted in both tiers, like application tier, data tier, or web tier. Use the NSGs to control those kind of things. Yes, there is a few security considerations for security. Use the DDoS standard for a greater DDoS protection, but again, this may end up you to charge more money, because uh, DDoS protection standard is not free. You will be going to pay around $2,000. But again, if you have a multiple uh, uh, s- uh, virtual networks in your tenants, you can extend this DDoS protection with the multiple virtual networks as well. Use the NSG groups to restricts the traffic, right? So any traffic basically coming in between the application tiers, you can use the NSGs to control the or restrict the traffic. And again, in terms of security considerations, one thing which is not mentioned in the design and not here is about the Azure firewall. If you have or you want to use the firewall, so you can use the Azure firewall as well, or there is a third party providers or third party vendors are also available in the marketplace, and if you are okay to use them as well, you can use them as well. But it's better to have the Azure firewall, because it's completely scalable firewall, and it's very well integrated with all the Azure services. Pricing, Yep, there is a pricing considerations like a VM scale set. You need to select the what kind of size is going to be and what kind of OS you need for your application, and accordingly you will be get charged. For the standard load balancer, yes, you will be get charged. All the rules are not free. Whatever the rule you have configured, you need to pay for that. Application gateway v2 SQs, again this pricing for application gateways depend what kind of pricing model or what kind of configuration you will be going to do on the application gateway. If you're using only the standard application gateway, you will be going to charge less, but if you are having the WAF with multi availability zone, then you may need to be spend more money for that. Then traffic manager, again traffic manager is quite I can say inexpensive. It will be going to charge you for billion of requests on a monthly basis. And then the VNet pairing, again VNet pairing is allow you to do the high availability deployments and can allow you to connect two VNets between the multiple regions so that your data can be shared or data can be synced to the one region to the another region. The only thing is there, like whatever the traffic which is traveling between these two regions will be get charged for that. Now let's quickly jump to the demo. So in the demo, I have the VM and application gateway is created. So if you go in my deployment in the resource group, you will be see I have a two resource group deployed, region 01 and region 02. In region 01, I have my virtual machine or application gateway deployed in East US, and with region 02 resource group I have my application gateway and the server has been deployed in the West US. Now if you go with the region 1 and if you go with the region 1 application gateway, and if you hit on this DNS name, you will be find like this request is somewhere reaching uh, to the server 1 in region 1. And same way, if you go to the region 2 and if you hit on the application gateway DNS name, application pub IP DNS name, you will be seeing this will be hitting on server 02, right? But how we are managing or how we need to make sure that multi-region deployment can be fulfilled, for that what we need to do, we need to create a traffic manager profile. That's something I have created in my another resource group, which is alid-demo-tf. In this I have my one traffic manager profile created. In my traffic manager you will be going to see I have a two endpoints, one endpoint in the East US and another endpoint is in the West US. Now if I copy this DNS name or if I hit on this one, this specifically going to reach to the server 01 because server 01 is near to me, right? And then if someone is reaching from the West US, they will be going to reach to that West US region also. But now let's say if my region 01 is down, right? Let's say my region 01 is down and my server in the region 1 is down. Now what is going to be happen, right? What exactly is going to be happen? The traffic manager is going to be take a little bit of time, and as soon as you will be reaching to that, it will automatically going to forward your request to the server 02. So you need to give him a little bit of time to update their TTL values in the traffic manager, and as soon as that has been done, your all the requests will be automatically going to reach to the region 02 server which is there. So if you see this is a region 02 and this is reaching to the application 2 which is deployed in the region 2 resource group. So that's how it's happened, and the traffic manager is the one of the biggest components to do the multi-region deployment, right? That's where it's allow you to do the deployment in the multi-region, right? It's still reaching to the server 01 because the TTL value has been not updated yet, or might be there is an issue with the cache. So let me try it in incognito mode and see what's happening, right? You will see as soon as I move to the incognito mode, you will see like my traffic manager is now reaching to the server 02, right? That's how your traffic manager work. Now in the traffic manager you do have a multiple endpoint, right? Either in my case I only have the Azure endpoints, but you do have a multiple other endpoint which you can use, right? Either you can use your external endpoints as well, where you can define fully qualified domain name or the public IP of your on-premise data center, and then you can define the location of that IP and you can click on add. As soon as that has been done, what is going to be happen? Your traffic will be get distributed between your Azure data center to the on-premise data center as well. Same way you can have your multi-agent deployment having the multiple vendors like AWS, Azure, GCP, and clubbing them here and using it within the traffic manager to distribute the traffic across the multi-region, right? So that's how you can do the deployments. And in my case, I only have application gateway and web server, but in your case, you might be having a multiple components. You might be having you might be having the Kubernetes cluster, you might be having the web apps in the back end of the application gateway as well. In my scenario, I'm only having the virtual machines. Well, that's it in the demo. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.